Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sissy Boys podcast. I'm Dan Donahue.
Hey, I'm Matt LeGrand.
I'm Cooper Lyden. Thank you so much for having me.
And today we have a very special guest, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson's on the podcast.
I would love to just kind of not get into specifics with him for just hours, just to be like, it seems like everything now is supposed to be something.
Oh, right. Just vague. Just have the vaguest conversation. So, like, sometimes things are what they seem and sometimes they're not. How do you feel? Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And then it'll be like, a lot of people don't want to accept that.
Cooper, you are back from having COVID-19. How do you feel?
Physically, I feel great. Mentally, it's been interesting because I was, like, the first day I, left my house, I went to work and I was like, man, I really did enjoy being inside.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't realize how much I was enjoying being inside.
Are you an introvert?
I don't know. I mean, I have some days where I love talking people up. But
Yeah. The common misconception with introverts and extroverts is that extroverted people are like people and they like being around others, but the actual definition is just someone who like gets their energy. Like people would think I'm an extrovert because I'm like very social, but I'm totally an introvert. Like when I'm peopled out, I shut down and I have to be alone.
Interesting.
Like I'm done.
Yeah. It was also perfect though, because I think I've been like more afraid of people lately, and I don't know why.
Well, I feel like I'm not affected by my conversations with people either way. I don't get energy from them or get tired.
That's because you're a Capricorn moon.
Oh, right.
You walk into a conversation, you're like, I'm sick, my life is sick. You walk out, you're like, still true.
Still killing it.
That's how you feel every time you walk out from a conversation.
I used to say, like, it's hard having confidence because when people insult me, I don't have negative self-talk, so it's the first time I've ever considered what they're saying.
Stop.
How like true is that? Is that
It's
like
pretty? I like myself.
Wait,
Yeah,
do you
right.
not have negative self-talk?
Not a lot. No, almost never. Because
Yeah.
my self-talk will be like, it'll be very specific if it is negative. So it's like, oh, you gotta like wake up earlier, or like, oh, you gotta do this better. But it's never like you suck.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I don't want to be like this person, but that is like what like queer people or minorities always talk about. Like, man, if I just had like the straight white man.
Yeah, no,
confidence, where
totally.
it's, like,
No.
you're just like, things are great.
Well,
I'm a good person. Whereas
yeah.
like every day I wake up and I'm like, Matt, you're a huge fucking piece of shit and you're an imposter.
Well, it also comes from like having been in special ed for like the 7 years I was in it. It kind of got rid of all that for me because like getting out of special ed was like the biggest accomplishment of all time for me.
What years were you in it?
Oh, dude, I was in it. So I had to go to a different school. So all through elementary, and then I went to a different school because of like I just couldn't make it through the school I was at. And I went there for 3 years, and then I came back, and I was in like learning support all through high school.
So wait, elementary
Through high school.
like 5th grade until 12th grade.
Yeah, I had an IEP even earlier than that.
What is IEP?
Individualized education program.
So did you go to college?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did you go?
UMass Amherst.
Isn't it funny how it eventually just doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Like nobody would talk to you and be like, this guy was in special ed his whole life.
Dude, it mattered because you're not putting like a test in front of me ever.
Right.
I never have to write a sentence in front of people.
Yeah.
Which it's so funny because it's like that kind of ruined my life at an early age, and now that I'm an adult, it literally only gets brought up when people look at a notebook of mine.
Yeah. And then people hear about it and they're like, that seems sick.
But I will say, the straight white man confidence thing definitely does play into that because I didn't also have that to fight against. You know what I mean? I just had the learning disability thing.
Yeah, and getting out of that is like, oh my god, I
right,
achieved.
done. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like done, finished.
Right.
Yeah,
Owned.
like you, I don't know, whatever. We don't have to get into it, but like for 20 years, me like telling myself like you're not who you are, you're not
Right.
whatever, and then like that just definitely does a number on your brain.
Yeah.
Then your brain is used to lying to itself.
Yes.
So then if you're like I'm a comedian, then you're like no, you're not. Faggot.
Right.
So even when you were in special ed, you still weren't like, I'm a fucking idiot.
No, I
like,
was.
Fuck me.
I was.
Okay.
But as I started to improve like my abilities and just to start accepting that one thing that was wrong with me,
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, the rest of me is good. I think that a lot of people feel that when they like overcome one hurdle is they start to realize like the parts of them that are like, actualized.
Yeah, that makes sense because you get the wall out of the way.
I meant that to be an applause.
I
No,
like
you
that.
didn't. No, you didn't.
I thought it was the applause.
No, but I can't imagine. I mean, there in my special ed classes, there were like tons of people of color. There were like a few queer people, and it's like, yeah, I can't imagine that because it's like even if you do overcome your learning disability, you have all this other stuff to deal with, and it's like I think that's like the real thing about like I don't know what you would call it, like intersectional discrimination or whatever, but it's like, yeah, those people don't understand it because it's like, oh, this is already an obstacle in certain things, and then you double that because it's like those people can also have like the same learning disability I had, and that's what's nuts about it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was your learning disability?
I had a few. I had like dyslexia, dysgraphia, some behavioral issues, stuff like that. Dysgraphia is like a weird. I won't get into it, but basically it's like a processing, not malfunction, but like words from my brain don't come out of my hand and in spelling and stuff. Like I can't process words into their spelling and handwriting.
So you have it all up here, but then when you're trying to write the sentence out,
yeah, it doesn't come out.
It's difficult.
Yeah. It's all communication stuff.
It's so interesting because you are clearly like a very articulate person.
Yeah, I used to read the dictionary.
Because you have
I used to straight up read the dictionary when I was younger.
Autistic?
No, not at all. No, but
No,
it's like
just, it's like he looked around. He's like, I'm a guy that probably has to read the dictionary.
yeah.
You're like,
no,
this
you
book-
do the work.
This
I
book
remember
makes
what it is.
no sense.
dude, the most embarrassing thing of all time. I went back to like I went to the other school, and then I came back to the like public school in my town for high school, and I went to a football game before classes had started or whatever, or like before I really knew anyone, and so I was just there by myself, and the kid came up to me, he was like, dude, like I know you, and I was like, oh cool, and he was like, you used to read the dictionary.
Yeah.
That's what he like knew about me.
People remember that.
And then
Because it's a big book.
that same football game, I swear to God, this girl comes up to me and she was like, "Are you Dan Donahue?"
Oh God.
And I was like, "Yeah." And she slaps me in the face. Her name was Erica Boulay, I think. I think
Okay.
that was her name.
Boulay.
And
Sounds
she,
like a
she slaps
burlesque
me,
dancer.
right? And I didn't know why. I didn't know what had happened. My girl who's now my friend, Abby Hiller, was trolling her online with the name Dan Donahue without knowing me. But she probably heard my name and subconsciously was like, oh, this would be a funny name to put it in a fake account, and was trolling her. So when Erica saw me, she thought it was the Dan Donahue she was talking to through Abby, and she slapped me.
Did you find that out from her after the slap?
I found that out I found that out through Abby, I think.
Oh, I was gonna say it'd be funny if it was like a weird chuckle where you like figured it out, and then she was like, "Oh my God,
Oh,
wow,
my bad.
that's-
Let me take the slap back.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry."
But Cooper, so now that you're back at work and stuff, does it feel different now that you've had COVID and you can kind of be a little bit more relaxed? Like, are you any more relaxed now?
No, I was never as concerned as I should have been. I was never anti anything, but I mean, I think like with the Omicron, I think a lot of people pick sides of like you going out to bars or not, and I chose bars.
You were a bars guy.
Yeah, so when I got COVID, I was like, yeah, I mean, it would make sense. I'm not saying I'm reckless, but
Yeah.
I'm living because it's also like and this doesn't actually make any sense, but I was like, well, I work at a comedy club, so I'm at a bar every night.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, then if I'm not working Sunday, I'll just go to another bar. But that's just widening the net of possibly getting it.
Well, while you were gone, you must have been our good luck charm because me and Matt were mired in controversy in your absence. We were thrown
That
into
sucks.
We were thrown into
That's like the exact
controversies.
opposite of
While
what I was
you were
having.
dying physically, we were dying.
We were dying.
Yeah, you're both
online.
Spiritually.
You're both being attacked.
Well, mine is a lot easier to deal with because the person it was so funny, dude. So
Yeah.
I have a video where it's not even one of my strong jokes, so I'm not going to defend the humor of it, but it's a joke that I wrote, and I put out jokes that I write. And it's, if your partner says it's the perfect size, it means two things. They like you, and it's small. And
you don't think that's a problem.
No. And a person stitched it and was like, this is when women say like something is the perfect size, they mean it, and this is like perpetuating a narrative of men where they're not listening to women about what women say. And the funny thing is, that joke did not come from a conversation with a woman.
Right.
It came from a conversation with Matt about Matt and his partners.
Yeah, but that doesn't work for her video.
No, it doesn't work for her video.
It doesn't work for her content.
But it's so funny because, like, watching the video, I was immediately like, well, you can't defend a joke. Like, jokes will always have elements of, like, maybe stuff that I don't really believe in. But that one was so easy because it was just inaccurate.
Yeah. You got to throw the flag.
She was coming at it from a self-righteous angle, being this is why this person
Not even,
is in the wrong.
Not even self-righteous, but just like she immediately she was like, he must be talking about straight people. Like the only thing that people talk about is straight people. So this must be about straight people.
Right. Like she is superiorly woke. Like she's like, I live on a level of existence where I understand the world in the correct way, and he doesn't.
Well, I just think it's one of those things where when you immediately...
Because she was like, this is the problem with society, Exhibit A.
Exhibit A, and like pointing at me, which is fine. It's like, I don't have a problem with that, but it is just funny because when you come at something from the angle immediately of like, I'm going to attack... Because a lot of people's channels are dedicated to that, where it's just like, I don't want to ask questions to this person. I'm just going to immediately frame it in the way that benefits me and then put it out there. It's like... Yeah, it's funny and interesting because it's like, because she said I was perpetuating the narrative of bigger is better. In no point in that video do I say bigger is better.
Yeah, I mean it's a good like
it's implied.
Yeah, there's an implication. Yeah, there's an implication, but it's also like that to me that joke is A, not about straight couples, and B, not about being bigger is better. It's about like the usage of padded language.
It's also just so funny because like you're doing it in a format that's always jokes. Like it's not like you're one of those guys on TikTok that's like, listen up, if a woman is telling you anything, she's lying. Like it's so obviously just
because
fun.
I think as far as a person who just does jokes online, my account is, I have been lucky because I do kind of a lot of the time not reflect my exact opinions and ideas, but I won't put out a video where it's like attacking a group of people or whatever. Like, I think that my jokes are pretty non-inflammatory as far as jokes go while still not being bad.
Yeah.
You know, like I think the funniest thing I do is stand up.
Yeah.
I think the best thing I do is stand up, but it's like those jokes, they're just like fun little jokes.
Yeah, it's funny that it's like just sort of a flippant thing and she's like, this is just the angel of death.
Yeah,
like
well, she got a lot of views on the video, and it's like, that's the goal, and that's what most people are concerned with, and it's like, I'm not even saying her opinion. I mean, I think her opinion's on the subject. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't fucking discriminate against people who have small dicks or big dicks in relativity, and I don't think that size equates to pleasure. We were just talking about that on the last podcast, how size doesn't equate to pleasure.
My ex-boyfriend's dick was too large to put inside of me.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I get it.
No one would say like you should never complain about that, but it's like, well, we weren't able to like function. I wasn't able to bottom for him.
I feel really bad for guys that are like at like 9 inches because like I think big dicks are across the board good just visually. I think everyone in the world is like, look at that big dick.
Right.
Like, that's sick. But then when it comes to like, do you want that to be inside you? I think most people are like, nah, I'll just stick with like
my buddy was
at
a strip
moment
club.
of silence for anyone with a dick over 9 inches. Pour one out.
My buddy was at a strip club, and he said, in Atlanta, male strip club, and he said like everybody was dancing. And there was one guy with a dick that was so big. He said it was like 13 inches soft. No joke. And he bought a picture from the guy, which is like $50, but he wanted to like get a picture of it.
Like,
and
you take a picture like with his dick?
He had to hold it like you hold a can of Pepsi.
Oh,
like
so you get to hold his
hand.
dick?
No. No. The guy's holding it in the picture just for like hand visual like.
Oh, I like that.
Comparison.
Like, just so everyone knows,
right.
I got like 2.5 hands.
It would be awesome to have super small hands in that situation.
Yeah.
But he said that every other male stripper was dancing. That guy was just walking around with no pants on, vaping.
Did he have a shirt on?
I think he might have had a shirt on.
Wait. Did he have underwear on?
No bottoms, just dick out, vaping.
Where?
Because his
Where
dick
is
was.
This?
I think it was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
What's the address?
With some Jordan 13s on his feet.
My grandma lives in Atlanta. I really need to go visit her.
Not even do like Roshi runs. He was wearing Roshi runs.
Roshi.
He was wearing casual Nike.
Yeah, like the knockoff, like the Ross Dress for Less Roshis.
No, he's wearing Chacos.
Wearing Chacos. Wearing Birkenstocks. That's crazy. I bet that guy's life just like sucks.
Yeah.
Because you're also just, it is weird that like guys with big dicks are like 100% like fetishized a lot. Like
Yeah.
they have problems with romance because like people will be like, I want to fuck you so bad, but they literally don't care about him at all. They're just like,
Right.
you're the only 12-inch dick I've ever met.
It's also,
but you can't talk about that if you have a huge dick. You can't be like, I get treated terribly because everyone's like, fuck you.
it's also hard because Steve Hernandez has a joke about this, but it's like a lot of women will be like, I wanna try that once.
Yeah.
Like I want to give that a shot once. But like you said, it probably hurts a lot when they do.
Yeah.
And so like continual sexual interactions with those people are probably hard, but
I think they're good for the world, though, because if you try a big dick once, then you're like, okay, well, it's good that I don't know. I kind of know that's not for me.
Right.
And then it would be harder to discriminate against guys with just regular dicks.
But anyway, for the listeners, Matt, would you like to go into your controversy?
Yeah. Yeah, just living with a 13-inch dick, it's really affected
People
my dating
attack
life.
you for it. They go, it's too big, it's too juicy. We like it too much.
Yeah, they call it boyfriend dick when you have the perfect size dick.
Yeah.
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 I do these Britney Spears impressions, and I'm pretty good at it.
Yes, you are.
Unfortunately. It's the only thing that has ever gotten me traction online.
You're cursed.
So
You're a cursed man.
yeah, I have a gang of like 20,000 mothers from the Midwest who are in pyramid schemes who love and support me. And I love them, and they all have blonde hair.
Cool.
They're great. But the Britney army is like at my throat. I'm getting death threats in my inbox, and like
That's
I'm having
so-
like
yeah.
20-year-olds DM me and tell me that like one day I will pay for what I've done and that they're gonna slit my throat. And
Okay.
yeah, it's interesting. I'm also like I'm 29, so like I was 6 years old when Baby One More Time came out. Like I know Britney's discography like the back of my hand. Like I watched her first single, I was obsessed with her, and then like these Gen Z kids who are coming from him, like you probably discovered her when like Till the World Ends dropped, like her 5th album. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a bigger, like this girl has played a bigger part in my life than she ever will yours.
Right.
Which is like besides the point of the argument. But I'd like to think like Britney Spears is really silly and weird, and I think she's fun, and I love that. And so I'd like to think that I'm just with anyone, I'm kind of like playing along with the joke.
You're
of
getting like straight up death threats.
Yeah, from kids, and they're all like, you will pay for what you have done. Like, karma's coming your way.
Jesus.
Buckle up, bitch.
Do they think it's going to be like illegal what you're doing at some point?
They're
That
like,
you could
wait,
be
like her team is going to sue you, which
Oh.
parody laws, you can't sue me.
Yeah, Chloe Fineman's getting sued too.
Right, SNL is getting sued. Yeah.
You get summoned to the UN.
I don't know. I took a break from it and did these Jamie Lynn Spears impressions, which felt very good because everyone universally hates her. But I was like, every time people would comment and they're like, "How dare you fucking disrespect our queen?" Then I would like comment kindly and be like, "Hey, have you gotten to check out my Jamie Lynn video?"
No,
You're like, you would this one's for you. You're good. You're actually hitting everybody.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you do, and that's what I did with that one video where I shouldn't have even responded, to be honest with you, but I do find it to be kind of fun and interesting.
Dude,
to talk to
I
people.
am
There's a
fucking
way.
withholding so much shit that I would say to these people. Like, that's my favorite thing, to like talk back to someone and put them in their place. But I learned, like, if you delete one of them, then they text all their friends and are like, go after this guy. So like I deleted one, I like blocked a person, and then like within like 5 minutes there were like 15 people attacking me, and it was clearly all of his like posse.
No, that's what I commented on this one video, very mild. I was like, hey, like I agree with the sentiments of this video. I just don't think it reflects like what and I was like, this is stupid, I'll delete it. Right when I deleted it, the person who made the video was like, pretty slimy move of you deleting your, or not, like pretty slick of you deleting your comment. Don't be shy. And I was like, okay, I won't. this video isn't about straight people. And then immediately she like backed off and was like,
What was your comment to her? You were like, it's interesting that you're perpetuating a myth of heteronormativity. Or
I
something?
did not even that. No. I would never.
myth.
I would never take the high ground like that because it's
You
like
did. It was the subtle.
No,
it was
you
great.
said she was being heteronormative.
No, I'm saying
Right?
I was saying like the like context of what she did was she took a video that says partner and then made it into a thing that was just about straight people.
Yeah.
Which I mean that is like the definition, but it's like I have been beholden to heteronormativity too. It's not something I want to take the high ground on, but if you're going to make a video attacking like the fundamentals of who I am based on a joke that I make, it's like, okay, well then let's be fair here. This video is not about straight people. If you think the video is like subtly saying big dicks are better, for the context of the joke, that might be implied. Like, I'm open to hearing that. But what you did directly is take the video that is not about straight people. I say partners. The biggest stitch and the funniest stitch are two men next to each other. And then one of them looks at the other one like really happy when I say it means they like you. Yeah. And then when I say then it's small, they both look like horrified.
It's fun.
It's really funny.
That's what
I'll show you the video. It's great, and I commented on it.
That's
and
a more
like,
poignant video.
Yeah, I was like, this is so funny. But she took that and immediately was like, this is just about straight people and women. This is about women. And it's like, this isn't. I never said women.
But you did like subtly and gracefully outwoke her.
Yeah,
in the best way possible.
I don't
weren't
want
trying to be a bitch.
It wasn't a dunk. It was a layup, though.
I don't want that to be my thing. That like I'm not trying to outwoke people. And if you want to
aggressive, it was beautiful.
But if you want to go through my videos and be like,
art, like,
here's what's wrong with the ideology of this video, the ideology of this video. You could do it with every single one of my videos. Jokes, I think, most of the time inherently have some side or thing wrong with them if you really want to break them down. But that's because they're jokes.
Yeah. It kind of happens everywhere. It's like, I even had like the joke about like Pete Davidson and how like a few years ago he was doing open mics. Now Kanye West hates him. And then like it got some likes. And then all these people commenting were like, oh, we're calling SNL open mics. And then people were like, no, we're talking about open mics. He's like, well, he said a few years ago. So people will like kind of find one thing.
Christ.
And then
that
they're
was
like,
my first
this is why you're an asshole. And it's like, I don't know. People just get mad. Like, even we posted the podcast art under a tweet I had, and a guy just responded, fuck you. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I posted pictures of my ass.
Yeah, you responded with pictures of your ass, but
not not naked ass, but I was, dude, and that picture, can we, that's a good picture.
You're all caked up in it.
I was wearing my girlfriend's jeans in it.
Yeah,
she left her jeans over a place I was house sitting, and so I put them on.
There was something weird about the picture. I'm like, Dan looks different. He looks different. Yeah, you got the double cheeked up pants on.
Oh yeah,
and it's funny because you replied that to one of the guys, and then he just responded with like 5 questions.
Which
is like, then you're not funny.
Yeah.
Like you're not. What do you mean? You don't get this? Like
the sweetest thing though in those moments is to engage with people in a really kind manner because they break down.
Oh yeah, my mom.
Because they're picking a fight. Like these people are like, fuck you, and then you'd be like, hi Derek, how are you doing today? Like, what else have you been listening to that you enjoy?
Yeah,
and they're just like baffled.
Yeah,
you know?
My mom is amazing because she's like one of those like ladies that has like rocks that say inspire on them around the house, and like so when somebody's mean to her, she just looks at him. She goes, "Are you trying to hurt me?" And then people have a really hard time with that because then they have to ask themselves, like, "Am I a person that tries to hurt others?"
That's such a good question.
If you're in a situation where someone is like attacking you or you feel like you're being attacked, the best thing to do is to ask a question. Because it completely changes the dynamic of where they want to be footing wise. When people say fuck you, they want you to say fuck you.
Yeah.
They want the response because they want offense versus offense.
Yeah.
They don't want offense versus empathy.
Yeah.
No one wants that.
That's so amazing. Are you trying to hurt me?
Yeah. See, that's a perfect way to do it.
It's so vulnerable.
It's also vulnerable. Trump did like the same thing, but like the evil version of it, where one time a reporter it was a silly thing because it would never work on him. But he was like, are you going to answer for all of the lies that you've told the American people? Like it wasn't specific. And then Trump just goes, sorry, what did you just say? And then the guy was like, I said, are you going to answer for the lies by the American people? And he's like, next. But he made it so there's nothing worse than trying to have like the perfect like sentence to be like, this is going to take him down. And the person just be like, can you say that a little louder? idiot. Like,
It would have been great if he did it one more time.
he did. He
I'm sorry,
repeated
what was
it.
the last
Yeah,
part?
no, that's right.
I'm sorry. Are you going to,
I really can't hear you. I really, asking a question is good.
and
because
as he's
ask a
repeating it, say
question.
next.
it's funny, just even like, it can't be any question. You could just be like, what's going on right now?
That's the bet, dude. Say fuck you to me.
Fuck you.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, that's good too. One time a guy, I didn't mean to, but I was rude to a guy at an open mic and he got very mad. And I was like, well, I don't want this to continue. So I hit him up on Instagram later and I just said, what happened? And then it was good because then he had to explain how he felt. And then, it was good. And it was honest.
Questions, dude.
Questions.
It's all about questions. You gotta just ask questions.
And it kind of inevitably makes a person feel cared about, even if it's like a really tense situation.
The nature of an argument is always just a lack of clarification.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, you always fear, like, very rarely are. Now, there are situations in which you're in physical danger, and that's, like, different. You actually, like, literally need to be defensive.
Yeah, you can't be like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's 5% of, or like 1% of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the times when you're in an argument, it's because of like a lack of clarification or like a lack of understanding with the person.
Yeah.
And I know that because when you see people who are always getting into arguments, it's always people who are generally bad at expressing themselves.
They pull the switch on the train track. Like once somebody like picks something and they're like, that's not what I meant, and then the argument is just gone.
We know that guy at the open mic that we were at that I got into an argument with about the list. And it's like that person gets into arguments pretty often. I think kind of through no fault of his own. I think he's just not perfect at expressing himself.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that like when things like don't work for them like socially, they're just sort of like, well, that's who I am. And there's a lot of people that do that and hate themselves, and there's a lot of people who just do that and they're like, I guess that's who I am.
Right.
And it's hard to talk to them to be like, well, you can be who you are. You just got to like turn the knob like a little bit. You know what I mean? Like if you just turned it down to like 6, you would have understood what he's saying.
Matt, you're pretty non-confrontational, right?
I'm very confrontational.
Is that true?
Do you get into like
Yeah.
with strangers? Like, do you get into it with strangers?
It is like unfortunately my favorite thing to do.
I understand. Do you pick good battles though? I feel like you know how to pick a battle.
Yes.
Or are you like Braveheart?
I mean, in my opinion, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is like a constant thing that keeps coming up. But like one of my best friends, I was at his birthday party and there was a friend of his that I didn't know who was immediately rude and condescending to me with no context.
Right.
Like she was like, I mentioned something about like a podcast I listened to, and she immediately goes, "Oh, of course you would listen to that podcast." And then I was like, "Okay," and I just brushed it off. And then I have like a tattoo of rambutan, which is like a fruit from Indonesia, on my arm. And she's like, "Oh, where's your tattoo from? Did you go on vacation somewhere?" And then I just looked at her and I was like, "You don't want to know the answer." Yeah. And she was like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, I was born in Indonesia and I lived there for 17 years, and this is a fruit that was in my yard, you stupid bitch.
You gave her a
But
chance
I didn't
too.
say stupid bitch, but then and
you
then
saved
like
it for the cast.
if she started, I can't remember what she was talking about. She was mentioning something about like pro-choice or whatever, and I was like, "What do you care, you fucking dyke?" Because she's a lesbian, and she got
How'd she feel about that?
But I was like, I said it in like a very joking way because it's like I'm gay too. Like, why do we care about that stuff? Which was a total joke, but that's a terrible example of me being good
funny.
at confrontation.
Yeah, it's funny that.
But I was like, it was like she was attacking me nonstop, and I made one joke in her direction, and she completely shut down, and then like started chugging alcohol.
Oh God.
And I was like, you've been dishing at me all night, like jabs for no reason because you immediately disliked me. And then I came back with one thing and you're like destroyed.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is funny that you're like, we were fighting, and then you're like, well, I said it in a jokey way. And it's like everything you're saying, you could have said it in a mean way.
Yes, I did very jokingly, like, I was like, "What do you care, dyke?" Like, as if I would be like.
Then I jokingly crashed her car. Like I jokingly keyed her car. You know, it was like a bit, but I burned her house to the ground. Like as a joke.
She was arrested, jokingly.
But I'm super to a fault. It's very fun for me to put people in. I embrace the uncomfortableness. Like that's fun for me, and I think there's a sick part of my mind that's always like, this might be an interesting story, or like I've never been in this situation before.
I'm so bad. I freeze up. I'm such a freeze up guy. I'm Mr. Freeze.
That sucks.
Dude, when I get in like someone who's like yelling at me, there really is. I literally feel 90% of my brain shut off. 90% of like my thinking brain, and that doesn't mean like my brain shuts off and I see red and I attack. It's the opposite. I completely sort of like mannequin up, and I'm like, okay, like there's blankness.
Yeah. I feel like I'm like in between you guys where like I will like very often not de-escalate conversation, but I'm also freezing up, so I'm like fighting through it.
Yeah.
And I'm like getting enough words right.
But
until
you
I
have the anger within that you're suppressing too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on with me. I don't have that really. I'm not
Yeah.
suppressing any like urge to punch people. I don't think I've ever had like an urge to punch someone.
Yeah. I mean the punching is a different thing, but like the getting in arguments I shouldn't is like my form of like thrill seeking.
Yeah,
I'm, like,
definitely.
Like I remember one time like I was like fighting with this comedian on stage, and then I was like he like had stood up in the audience and was like already trying to walk to the stage to fight me, and then he was like, "You're gonna crash your car now." I was like, "I'm gonna crash your car into your mother's grave." And then he tried to. Then I had to leave the establishment and sprint to my car, and
Sure.
I beat him by like 10 feet.
Well, I feel like this was the Monday night mic at 10 p.m.
It was at a next stage where a lot of bad things happened. But he was like 6'3", like 260.
I've seen you almost get into a fight with another person at next stage.
Oh, Brandon?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, Brandon knows how to act, though. Like, Brandon wouldn't hit me.
Right.
Which is, it's a big burden on Brandon because he's a huge black dude. So it's like he knows that, like, he has there's so much pressure on him already.
Yeah.
So it's like But yeah, I mean, even when I was on stage, I was like, I should stop. But then it's the thrill, so part of my brain was like, like, he's already mad.
Do you think a little bit of that is also the side of you where it's like, well, this is kind of a thing as a comic that makes sense? Like you hear a lot of stories from comics having stuff like that happen.
Yeah, I don't like to be like, it's the comic brain, but definitely in my head, I almost felt my brain separate. Of like, I had one part of my brain that was like, you know exactly how this is going to end and you should stop. And then there's the other part of my brain that was like, but this is really funny because everyone hated this guy. And then I just started shitting on him. And it's like, I'm so fickle that I'm like, I'm doing really well right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and I think, obviously I wouldn't actually want to answer for the things I say, but in the moment, I'm like, it would be worth getting beat the fuck up for like what's happening right now. And it's not at all. Like once I was like in the ICU, you know what I mean? Like after getting almost murdered, that's when I would be like, I probably could have.
Getting beat up is really bad. I mean,
have you gotten your ass like kicked?
Only in like an MMA gym, but I did really get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
I got kicked in the ribs really hard, and then right after punched in the face.
You have padding?
No, it was MMA gloves. We were doing like
This
live
is
rounds.
in
That still
consensual
sucks,
combat.
Consensual combat, yeah, but I mean, I got the feeling of getting my ass kicked. But the difference is not even all the way, because it's like in a street fight, you definitely have the possibilities of getting hit while you're down, which happened a little bit here, but not outside the context of like I wasn't knocked out at any point.
Yeah,
I was like woozy or whatever. But dude, the next morning when I woke up, I was like, oh, this was permanent damage. And it wasn't, but that's how bad it felt, where I woke up and I was like, there's no way this isn't going to last the rest of my life.
I feel it's a terrible feel. Like I got beat up at an MMA gym once because there was this kid.
Are you serious?
I did MMA for like a couple of years.
Oh, you did too?
Not MMA, no. What I did was stupid. I wasn't doing MMA at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in a class.
MMA, you don't use gloves.
No, you do.
Little
and then
gloves.
there was a kid named Eris who was like a kid that was like really into like pocket knives.
Yeah,
and there was a darkness to him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we moved to a new
And
MMA
hedge
gym.
funds.
No, he was like, I think he was broke and all he had was pocket knives. But like
Okay.
we went to a new gym where we had like a cage and we could spar. And then like me and him was like the first spar. And it wasn't like kick each other's fucking ass. They were like, we're going to put the pads on, tap each other, like just work on technicals. And then almost immediately he just started going at me 100%, as if he had been waiting to be able to spar the entire time.
And he was. And he was.
And he was like, thank God I got the smallest kid in the class. And it was so weird because like I was obviously embarrassed because I was like, the guy just beat me up. And then everyone else in the class, I had the feeling of like, oh, I don't need to be embarrassed because the vibe is everyone just being like, what the fuck was that, man?
Yeah, that's always nice.
Because if you don't know that a guy's about to hit you as hard as he can, and it was not your plan to hit him as hard as you can, it's so like you have to mentally adjust within seconds to be like, oh, I'm in a different fight than I thought I was in.
Dude, not at the gym I went to. At the gym I went to, it was basically the whole gym was just one staph infection. It was one staph infection.
Literally toxic.
I went to one really good gym in Western Massachusetts called NESF, and that place is awesome. But then when I went to Boston, I bounced around to a few gyms, and one of the gyms I went to for like a week was just like one big staph infection. There were such aggressive like vibes in the gym. People were going 100%. People were coming in with like drugs and shit. There were empty.
What kind of drugs?
Like empty handles of vodka. And then I learned afterwards it was the gym that Yohar Tsarnaev used to train at.
Is that a UFC fighter?
No, that was the Boston Marathon bomber.
Oh. I don't know why.
It's just a haunted place. It was just like a haunted place.
That would be funny.
Go ahead, Cooper.
I was just gonna say it'd be funny if a UFC fighter was there, but it was like hard for him to shout out the gym. So that kind of
shout out of
yeah.
Staph infection because of like the sanitary like this was a dump.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also just staph infection is one of those things where it's like if you're just like grappling and you don't have shirts on, like it can happen easy enough. So if you're also in a place where there's tons of people who
stuff down,
they don't, and they might even just come in not showered.
Right.
Like it sounds like these guys would just sort of roll out of bed and
there wasn't a shower there. I'll tell you that.
Definitely
much.
not even a shower
so
there.
The gay bar I work at is a staph infection.
Yeah. Like if there was mats on the ground, then it would be it would be the same thing.
Sweaty bodies.
There's only one mat
rubbing
on the ground there.
Yeah.
And we're sitting next to him.
Yeah.
2 T's.
That's how you get the tips.
Yeah.
Well, Coop, I mean, we're glad you're back. How does it feel being back on the cast?
It feels great. I was sitting in my room a lot just thinking about things I would say on the podcast.
Yeah,
and then just forgetting them the next day. One thing I did want to say is just a big shout out to women between the ages of 28 and 34. Thank you so much for wanting to fuck Dan and supporting the podcast.
Well, I mean, yes.
From the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Yes,
it's not bad.
No, it's not bad. I'm a little bashful.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for, hopefully the video, now there's a big reason to tune in.
And thank you every gay man who follows me for wanting to fuck Dan.
Yeah. And then there's a small subsection of people that comment really scary things on my posts. And the 5 of you who scare me.
Yeah, hey, shout out those guys.
Yeah, you scare me. I posted a selfie. They said, "May I sit?" And I was like, this scares me.
Also, shout out to the 3 gay men who follow me who DM'd me and said, "Wow, I feel bad for objectifying Dan. He actually sounds like a smart guy."
Oh, that does make me feel good.
This has humanized
Dude,
you. For some reason, your jokes on TikTok didn't make you look smart, but when you talked about pussy, then they were like, "Oh, this guy knows what's up."
I could see them.
When you say bussy, they're like, he's so...
Wow.
Oh my
he's
God.
an empath.
This guy's culture.
Is that a professor?
Yeah.
No, that's the interesting thing is like I post a video. I mean, it does kind of suck. It's champagne problems, but like I'll post a video where it's a joke, and then every comment is either like something I changed with my hair or shaving my mustache or like, and it's like, I mean, it's fine. It's what the internet is. You just have to get used to it.
It's not what you want. I think it is, though. It is a reason that you're a likable guy because you are a guy that people look at or like even just hear about how you live your life where they're like, oh, what, he works out every day and like he's very productive. And then like people want to fuck you and they're like, well, this guy must suck then. But then they talk to you and they're like, oh, wow, he's like, he doesn't tell me about like, NFTs and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
no, I am
like
happy.
You listen to people, which people are surprised.
I'm lucky. I think stand-up has made me non-insufferable because I think stand-up is such an objective and cold and harsh thing that it does constantly humble you.
And also the way you talked about where you would talk about like how you didn't have a lot of friends for like a long time.
Oh, dude.
Or none, right?
Oh,
you said like literally none.
I mean, I don't want to make this whole podcast about me, but we could get into that.
I mean, it's interesting. I'm just saying it's like
you not have friends
until
you joined comedy?
No, it was so from like middle school I had one of the reasons I transferred. So I didn't have friends from like 3rd grade to 5th grade. I had maybe one, but I had whole summers where I would just go down to a basketball court from like 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., go home, eat, watch TV, go to bed. And this is not an exaggeration. Every single day. I all the kids who hung out at the court were like older and would just kind of tolerate me. But no, for like years, and I went to the middle school in Barrington, Rhode Island, which was like an hour away, so I didn't really make a lot of friends there. I made, again, like one friend there. Then I came back to high school, and that's when things kind of like started to work for me. But yeah, for like my entire childhood, it was essentially in close to complete solitude, or like mostly solitude.
Do you almost feel lucky for that? Because
Yeah.
like I have like had friends in a group my whole life, and I think when you have that, you don't actually realize that you could be very bad at connecting with people, because like, you know, from an early age you're like, well, people hang out with me, so like I can't suck at like I didn't think about it until I like tried to be a good person, and I was like, you don't listen to people at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, it hurt a lot, but
Of course.
it also feels like almost an investment, because I do think that you don't have to have like shit like that happen to be interesting, but I do think I have a different perspective than a lot of people in that regard, and I think that perspective helps.
Every layer you peel back just unfortunately makes you more lovable.
Oh,
Well, yeah, because you're
I feel
like,
the same thing about you guys.
oh, thank you so much. Well, because you're a guy
But I'm just
that,
I'm like internally tearing up, and I'm like, oh my god, I wish I could be on that basketball. Although I would have probably hated you and made fun of you.
Yeah, you would be like the other guys who were just doing heroin there.
yeah.
There was this
You
one
would be
guy.
the meanest. You would just be closeted in Massachusetts.
I was I was so mean until I went to maybe till after I graduated college.
Yeah, when
Yikes.
how long you would have definitely been there? Like it was in the time where you would be pretending to be straight, so you would be going over the top
Yeah.
and just
very aggressive.
absolutely like, because there were dudes there who were kind of like rough guys. Even though it was a nice beach, like from time to time you would get people who were probably like on oxy, or they would be drinking 40s and stuff all the time. One guy like passed out over the bench and like slammed his head against the cement.
Jesus.
That was a big memory for me.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're like, man,
Damn.
these are my friends.
Yeah, I love this guy.
I would be really mean in this if ever you beat me in an argument, because it was always my job to like have the last word and to like be the funniest or whatever as a defense mechanism. But if you by chance you did win, then I could ultimately be like, well, you're going to hell and I'm not. So
Right.
ultimately I win.
Dude, I'm glad I met you. I'm glad I met you when you were calm. You're getting all the dick you need in life. You're just
I'm
solid.
I feel like the most empathetic version of myself ever. I used to be so mean. When I was a Christian, I was such a rotten person.
So was that like the big change to having more empathy, was losing the Christian side?
I don't contribute it directly to that. It just
Right.
happened to be my circumstance, because my older brother is one of the kindest people I've ever met, and he's a Christian and a practicing Christian. He's like the best version of a Christian possible. But
Just gotta be cool about it.
I was doing a lot of things to overcompensate for hating myself, because I wasn't allowed to be gay, blah blah blah, so boring. But also like when I was a Christian, I wasn't able to look at any person who was not a Christian as anything other than a project, because it is continually my job. I didn't know how to be friends with someone who didn't have salvation.
Yeah.
So like if I was talking to you and you weren't saved, it would be like everything that I was doing was manipulating you into bringing the conversation back to how like you're going to hell.
You were like a 21-year-old dating a 32-year-old man. Where you're like, I can fix him. Like, there's really
exactly, and
something
that's why
there.
when I came out, I would date old men and try to fix them.
Yeah, you had
and I'd be
to-
like, oh,
yeah.
I'm trying to save people again.
Right.
Like I didn't know.
Definitely.
Now I feel like
100%.
I can meet someone, whether they're like an unhoused person or whether they live in Beverly Hills, and I'm just like, oh, I'm listening to you and your experience, and that's fine.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's not my job to decipher what you need to do with your life or any of that. That's not my job.
I'm stepping back from that more and more. I think because like people get mad at me at my work when I tell them to do stuff, where I'm like,
It's
please
exhausting.
don't stand in the
It's
hall.
exhausting.
And then they get like really defensive.
Oh, well, that's
and
different.
so, but I'm saying I'm transferring it to bigger stuff where I'm like, yeah, you can just like kind of not get into things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you like, I'm not really one to like intrude on someone's life, but sometimes I'm like, oh, well, like, you know, shouldn't I tell them that?
Right.
And then I'm like, you don't have to tell anyone anything. Like, you can just fucking sit there. And,
Cooper,
like, you know, pick a battle.
This brings us actually well into I didn't tell you about this, but we have our first sponsor.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
who is it?
Lamictal.
Is Lamictal?
Lamictal's our first sponsor.
Damn, we should have just, because I take the generic, it's a mood stabilizer. I take the generic.
Don't say that you take the generic. Say you take Lamictal. They're paying us.
I take Lamictal, I take 150 milligrams a day, and I'm fixed.
Tell them how it makes you feel.
When you, like, punch a metal telephone pole, you think a lot more about what you did. I don't know if you see, this is like, there's a little scar on my forehead, and also my temple is swollen. It was because I punched myself in the face through a pillow because I didn't get likes on TikTok.
Are you being serious?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
I was horribly rude to Dan, just calling him, just being like, why?
It wasn't rude.
It's rude. I mean, you're very nice about it.
It was rude to yourself.
Yeah, that was fun. That was the thing about being inside, though, is like I get overwhelmed by too many things. So I like just lopped off a couple of things, like driving and working and stuff. But then it's like if I had anything to be stressed about, I was like, well, it's TikTok. I had nothing else to be stressed about, so I just funneled a lot of that into trying to make people laugh online. And then when it wasn't going well, I'd call Dan, and he's like, you've only tried doing this for like, really a collective 2 weeks. If you really think about the work I've put into it, generously.
So,
2 weeks.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you doing self-harm based on TikTok views? Try Lamictal.
It might help. Like it might.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it will. I should take more of it, I think, is the problem. That's the second thing, is like you got to get over yourself to start taking pills. But then there's also the thing where the doctor's like, you should take more of this pill. And you're like, well, okay, so what? Am I just batshit then? And it's like, no, it's the same logic. Keep getting help.
Are there negative side effects to Lamictal?
There's almost none. If anybody's trying to like steal it from people to get high, it doesn't work.
You
have to take it for 3 weeks for it to have.
Stop doing that.
Stop
Stealing Lamictal.
The only effect is that like you just can't. You don't really go like manic anymore, and it stops you.
Which
from
when you were
crazy
on like a high like fun manic, it's the best, right?
I mean, I'm bipolar too, so I only get like hypomania, so it's like a lesser version of mania. But yeah, I mean, some days you wake up and you're like, I'm like, everything is fixed. But then it's like I had one day like that, and then I was at an open mic and I like made a joke, and then nobody laughed, and like Simon Gibson was there, who's like a good friend, and for some reason I tried to like jokingly be like, "Oh, Amazon Prime," like I did that, and then I walked out and I felt so bad, and I got in my car, and then
because
he
has stuff on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I was trying to like jokingly be like, "Oh, you're big time," and like I think he knew I was joking still, but it was definitely like asshole move, and I got back in my car and immediately like plummeted, and I punched myself in the face, and so that's sort of a good example where like it wasn't manic to the point of like me calling you and being like, I'm
Have
Jesus.
you thought of just having like boxing gloves just in case you do have the urge to punch yourself in the face? You can do it more or like full boxing helmet, full boxing gloves, because I feel like you still shouldn't punch yourself, but if you go through all the effort of putting the gloves on, putting the helmet on, latching up the helmet, putting in your mouthpiece, putting Vaseline on your face, like I feel like after all those steps it'd be like, I'm good.
Could you imagine if I like prepped myself? I put on like black nylon gloves and I'm like just wait. I get ropes in my room. Honestly, it would be good if I had some sort of thing where I was like, you can like be mad about this, but you do have to do these things before you do.
Oh, okay. So before we wrap up here, I do want to say
we still got 12 minutes.
Well, we still have to do the gay straight pan, but before we do that, I want to say to any listener out there, I have to stop doing the videos if you subscribe because it's a good thing. Too many people are sending them, and I'm getting to them as quickly as I can. But it's just like I can't do the videos, but. Up until we get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, if you subscribe and send a screenshot, we will shout you out on the pod.
Okay.
And we will sing your graces.
And also, if Dan's not able to make a video, me or Matt will make 3 videos.
Yeah, but they don't want that shit.
That's not what they want.
just more videos from a person they didn't ask.
If Dan doesn't make you a video, we will leak his nudes.
No, do not leak my nudes.
Or at least I'll take a sock pic right now.
What if I just took a picture of my penis and just started saying it was yours to get followers?
That would make me very upset.
It would make you upset? All right.
Wait, I wanna see if I can find one where I can no, I can't find anybody, but we will do it like this. John Smith
I just
subscribed.
took 2 feet pics of you
You're pissing
as
me off.
collateral.
John Smith subscribed to the podcast. John Smith once curb stomped Cooper so hard that Cooper changed his ways. Stuff like that.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can screen record it and use it in like a litigation.
Use it in litigation.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt, something gay you did.
I thought I had something really wonderful and gay that I did. Wait, can you go first, Cooper?
Yeah. I don't know. I keep doing this thing where I like set up a hookup with a fella, and then I just had a moment where I was like, I don't know if you should be meeting new people or be around people, and then I just like deleted Grindr for a day, and then now I don't know where that guy is. So trying to have sex with a man and then backing out,
Right.
super gay.
Right.
Not being afraid to have sex, gay as hell.
Mm-hmm.
In the colloquial way, and then trying to fuck a man, gay as hell in the technical way.
And why don't you feel like you're ready to meet new people?
I think just
I mean,
sometimes,
I know the answer.
I think
but I want to hear from you.
Well, yeah.
I'm
I mean,
just
in
kidding.
hookups, it's like I have like a physical want for sex, and then I'm like, oh, you're bringing someone into your life, and that makes me very nervous at the moment, which is stupid because I think it's almost cocky because I'm like assuming that like they would, for any reason, want. It's like it's a guy on Grindr. It's not like he's gonna be like, I really enjoyed our time.
Yes.
I mean, who knows? Like, if you're on Grindr, then there are people of your mental capacity also on Grindr. You know what I mean? We always think we're like the exception. Like, I'm on here, but no way there's someone else on here that's as smart or emotionally intelligent as myself. It's like, well,
Right.
You're there.
Well, I don't feel. No, it's not that I feel smart or emotionally intelligent.
But you know
feel
what I
like
mean?
I'm-
Like, you're craving something. It sounds like I'm endorsing Grindr. Like, that is where you will find the love of your life. But yeah. Do you ever ask yourself? I started doing this. Like, I went to SLA, like Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, and I like took a whole break from all of that stuff, and it was invaluable. Like, I'm so thankful that I did that. But like, one question I would ask myself is, do I actually want to spend time with another person, or am I just lonely? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Like,
feel
am I
like
actually interested? Do I have something to give, or do I just need something? Like, I feel like
Validation.
shit on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think I voiced it that way, but I think that is the feeling. Because, like, I set up, like, a girl that saw me at an open mic messaged me, and then, like, I immediately, like, set up, like, a day to meet. And then I texted her 2 days later, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And it was because I was like, I just really wanted to, like, hang out with someone. And then 2 days later, I was like, I'm just using this person I don't even know.
Right.
So I just messaged her, like, before even going out. Because I was like, it would be worse to do it the next day.
That's thoughtful.
It is.
Yeah,
How
it
did
is
she,
awkward.
Did she take it well?
She did it the normal. She didn't respond, and I was like, respect.
Respect.
And then I was at a mic the other day, and then because she was like a friend of a comedian, so the comedian and her showed up to a mic, and we respectively did not look at each other. Which
Respect.
I just like when there's just two people that are like, there's no reason to like be like, well, you gotta be face to face.
Don't gotta do that.
You don't gotta do that.
Don't gotta do that.
And so, at least I know that, because I never spoke to this person except through DM. She's DM'd me. So at least I know now that she's a good person in that way.
Yes.
To be able to walk into the situation and go, there's nothing to be done.
Yes.
Because nothing truly was done.
Yes.
And for that, that's the greatest relationship I've ever had. And I
Matt?
love her more than
Oh, I was just
anything.
gonna say, and that's also like, it kind of leaves like good opportunity for the future, because maybe when you're in a more stable or open place, you could be like, hey, I'm in a good place where I'd like to hang out with you. Sorry for what happened in the past. Would you like to get coffee? And then she can be like, go fuck yourself.
Mhm. And I'll be like, and peace be with you.
Mine is like cute.
Ooh.
Well, I'm going to see Björk tonight with the dude that I'm dating. I feel like that's super gay. And I think tickets were like
Well, everyone loves Bjork,
everyone.
but I could
does.
see where you could say that.
But yeah, I don't know. In the car last night, he very casually was like, I think you should be my boyfriend.
Yes, dude.
But then he was like, I was gonna like propose and like do something like
So
cute,
funny.
and he's like, okay, so like just wait, I'm gonna like do something cute. But
Yes.
like that was a very gay moment, and then we had like really, really hot, intense, intimate like sex, and I almost felt
Yeah.
awkward because I was like, wow, this person really likes this.
Wow, you really like this.
And
I guess.
you know what? Yeah, maybe I'll just ruin the romantic part of it, but like neither of us had like showered, and we were like, can we have sex or is this gonna get bad? And we were like, you know what, in this moment I don't even care what
That's
happens.
real.
You have the sex
some
is
real
only
shit.
going to get so much better
Yeah.
because now there's just more trust built.
That's real as
And when
hell.
you've like learned someone's body, and then now you got that like assurance of like the word boyfriend. I mean, you're gonna be torn up.
Don't.
You're gonna
Wait, you
be.
mean, oh, my body.
You're gonna be ripped.
Yeah.
With
I'm
Asunder.
taking Metamucil every day.
Good for you.
What does that do?
Psyllium husk, it like kind of combines everything you're digesting and pushes it out and gives you fiber so you don't get hemorrhoids.
I have a lot of those.
If you want to bottom, you should take Metamucil. Metamucil.
You can
Yeah,
bottom.
Metamucil and Lamictal sponsor this podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could bottom
Metamucil
with
should.
hemorrhoids.
Metamucil will clear up your hemorrhoids.
be
Otherwise, you're
good.
going to bleed.
No, I've gotten fucked in the ass with hemorrhoids in, and
Okay.
nothing happened. Isn't
Hemorrhoids
that
in.
crazy?
Like
Like the 80s.
I guess it was probably a boyfriend dick.
Yeah, it was a regular sized dick.
BFD, baby.
Dan, what's something straight that you
I have
did
a
this
really
week?
funny one.
Okay, good. Mine last week was really funny.
So, yeah, it was.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
don't know if this one will be actually that funny, but
Y'all ready for
so
this?
my girlfriend gave me quarters for the laundry. And I was like, I always feel bad like receiving something without immediately reciprocating in a direct way, which isn't the healthiest impulse in a relationship, right? You should just kind of understand it's a free flow of back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm very uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
So she gave me quarters, and I was like, let me Venmo you for these. And she was like, you're not going to Venmo me $3 for
Yeah.
quarters. And I was like, okay, well, do you need anything done around the house?
Yeah.
And she kind of paused and then had a talk with me where she was like, you don't have to do housework for me every time I do something for you.
Yeah.
And then we kind of like
$3 worth of house.
and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, that is my direct impulse that whenever she does something nice for me, I'm like, can I hang up a picture, or can I like put a lock on her door once, and like I put a lock on her door, like installed it, and then I like put up a couple of picture frames and like this mirror that required drywall anchors and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like just little things that weren't that big of a deal. But when I did that, I was like, okay, nice, because her parents took me out to dinner, so now we're like even. And then
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's not the way to think about any of this.
Yeah, I totally understand that. It's like it's bad because it distances you from people.
Yes.
Like I was telling you about the time where I had wet socks at work, and then a guy was like, I have dry socks in my car, do you want them? And in my thought, I was like, well, if he gives them to me, then he has to lose his socks, and then he has to wait for me to get them back to him, and I have to wash them. And it's like,
By
it
the
would
way,
be-
this wasn't a person who couldn't spare a pair of socks.
no, it was a professional
a
comedian.
professional comedian who is very funny.
And totally on the way up.
Yeah,
It was just a night.
one
and
of the
it-
funniest people I've ever seen, honestly.
Yeah, and then, if I would have taken those, it makes you closer to people,
Right.
Because then you're like, oh, thank you for
The
accepting
Ben
that.
Franklin
Yeah,
thing.
because he looked at me in a way that was like, the fuck is wrong with you?
You're like, I love that that I have trench foot right now.
Yeah, like
And
the amount of times like somebody's given me like something, and I'm like, oh, how much money do I owe you? And they're like, we're fucking hanging out right
stop.
now.
Yeah, you just gotta chill with that. Sometimes it's like,
You do. You just have to chill. Like
Yeah.
people offer me food, and I'm like, no, and they're like, why? And in my head, I'm like, well, you have more food now.
there's
I haven't taken from you.
It might be in Egypt, but there's a specific country with a specific like tradition that, I mean, it's kind of parallel to this, but I just heard about it, where if you eat all the food on the plate that they give you, it's an insult because it's telling the host that you didn't eat enough. And I say that to say this. Sometimes,
what?
yeah, I know it doesn't make sense.
So do you leave? Like they'll leave.
You have to
like,
leave a little bit of rice.
barely any.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit of rice on the plate to signify
respect.
that respect. And I say that to say this. Sometimes you do have to do something that's even outside the bounds of what you think is like objectively like the thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it serves in making people feel better.
Yeah. It's like literally like what makes us human. Like if you only were like, well, logically, I do not need those socks.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's no way to live. So I get it. Like, cause yeah, I think it's funny cause we've gone back and forth a lot. And Matt, I'm sure you're the same way of like paying for things where like, it'd be like, oh, I'll pay for this meal. And then immediately
He
you're like,
bought
fuck
coffee
you.
this morning, and I felt so awkward the whole time because I was like, why didn't I offer to split?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, why can't he just do something nice?
Yeah, like the first day we were doing the podcast, I was like, you bought a $1 coffee, and I was like, let me Venmo you, and you were like, shut the fuck up. And like, it is weird though, because you almost feel bad to assume. I like asking questions you kind of know the answer to.
Yes.
Like one time, a very rich comedian gave me a big tip, and I was like, I think she actually gave me this by accident.
So fun.
And so like,
This was a comedian who, if you heard who it was, you would go, that is no money to them.
yeah.
You would go, that's a penny.
Yeah. So, because what she did was she handed me a wad
Yeah.
of like $60, and then there was 100 in it, and I was like, I think she made a mistake. And then I like asked my boss, I was like, can you just call her? And I knew that even if it was a mistake, she'd be like, I don't fucking.
This
give a
isn't
shit.
necessarily a comedian who is at Rogan's level, but Rogan would come to the park and just give out hundreds. He was just like Mr.
Yeah,
Hundreds. He would
yeah.
give out hundreds to everybody.
Yeah.
So this is not a comedian who has his kind of wealth, but is in his orbit.
She has like they've both surpassed the point where throwing 100 is like it's
Anything.
sort of the same
Is
thing for
anything.
them.
And this
Yeah.
comedian is also taking ivermectin.
No, I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true?
I don't know who you're talking about.
No, you don't.
We'll tell you.
You don't know.
All right. Thank you for tuning into the Cissy Boys again. Please subscribe to the YouTube. We are trying to get to 1,000 so we can make money off of the podcast.
And because we want to change the world.
Love.